So starting this June, Kenyans are going to start paying some serious taxes. We are going to shoot up to the list of some of the most taxed people. It's going to be crazy. And the president is doing this. Why? How is it going to work out? All these taxes. Why is he pushing for them? And will Parliament accept them? But the most important question though is, what are some of these taxes? Because a lot of people have not really gotten into the nitty-gritty depth of what's happening. And let's delve into that, because the Financial Bill 2023 wherever it comes from Treasury, and Treasury means the president. It means the cabinet has sat, everyone has sat and decided, if we tax ourselves more, then maybe we'll multiply everything we have into, say, 100-fold. If the MPs in Parliament passes this bill in June this year, Kenyans will start paying more taxes on pretty much everything we do. And you're seeing even new classes of people like content creators who are not initially being taxed that directly, having money deducted by the government as tax. Something wrong with the situation, because these people are already paying taxes. How are they paying taxes? You ask yourself. Stick around. The other weird thing about these new taxes is the president, in the value-added tax increase, which has been raised for fuel and a couple of other things, fertilizers. The import of fertilizers has also been slapped with VAT. Before, it was not being taxed VAT, so fertilizer came easier and it was a good time for farmers mostly. But now what's going to happen? It's been removed from that category, so all imports on fertilizers are being taxed heavily. What's funny though is the president removing all VAT from LPG cooking gas. Many Kenyans, especially those educated Kenyans who live in the urban areas, so see, it's a good thing, and it's a good thing. You know, gas has been crazy expensive. If you're cooking with gas in this city, you must be complaining, man, because it moved overnight. From there was a time we used to buy gas for 600, 800. We saw it move to 1,000, 12. Right now, it's just coming down, but it's low. It's still not yet at 1,000. So the idea of removing VAT is questionable, because we've had very recent rumors that the president is kind of dipping his hand in that industry. He's trying to invest in it. It's known to be a very lucrative industry. Raila Odinga is already in the space, and some other people. LPG, what made Qatar and the other big countries rich, and they're saying now it's gonna be free to import it. But what are the stats in terms of Kenyans who use LPG compared to Kenyans who use fertilizer, which now is going to be obviously more expensive? Only 5% of Kenyans in the rural areas use LPG. That's true. That's stats you can find even on the Bureau of Standards of Statistics website. 5%. Yes, up to 55% of Kenyans in urban areas, they're using LPG, and that's a big number. But compared to the Kenyans who are living outside cities, this is a small number of people. So LPG being VAT exempt is going to be cheap for those Kenyans who use it. It's going to be a party for those companies who distribute it. And we are hoping that the government is not trading in gas. That's why they have dropped VAT. But who knows? It's not the only controversial thing in that issue, because I have been studying that whole thing on my computer here. It looks bleak for most of us. Let's go to the salaries, the basic salaries. The 3% deduction first. The government is going to remove 3% of your basic salary. That's basic. Before, if you're getting allowances, the basic 3% is going away to housing, despite the fact that taxes are going up for what you buy. VAT for fuel is moving from 8 to 16%. So mafuta, you expect tena fare ishuke, or your driver, your fuel is never gonna come down, because subsidies were removed. The West doesn't want subsidies, and we've already established that William Ruto is friends with the West more than the Chinese. So we are expecting to see no subsidies moving forward, just these things being cast on stone. When it comes to salaries and basic salaries here, Kenyans who are making over 280k, below 280,000 will be taxed 10%. So if you make 28k of that money, government money tax, before it gets to you, before you get any kind of deductions, just tax. If you're making over 280, 300 to 500k, 25% of your money, that's a whole quarter. Government. If you're making 500 G's, moving up, I think it starts at 600k, then you're being taxed 35%. Man, tell me that's not crazy. It's a lot of money. It's a big 30% of something is a third of it easily, the whole chunk. But we weren't the first country to be heavily taxed. A lot of countries are heavily taxed. America is heavily taxed. Japan, Ivory Coast, an African country, they pay up to 60% of their earnings as tax to government. So yeah, people have been paying taxes, maybe not as badly as we're just about to start paying. Very close. The other elephant in this whole taxing issue is the issue of how Ruto is taxing businesses. It's called turnover tax, and this is where there is a big kizungumkuti. Previously, turnover tax was a tax that was being taxed on businesses that were making between $1 million and 50. So you're paying turnover tax, which has moved from 1%, it will be 3% now, turnover tax. This is a lot of money. Let me tax you for total sales first before even tax you some more. You know, so Ruto has moved it. It's not 1 million to 50 million people in business. That's business who will be paying turnover tax at 3%. Rather, it will start at 500. Business that makes as low as 500k, they'll be charged turnover tax. But it doesn't go to 50 million now. It's capped at 15 million. So if you're making more than 15 million, turnover tax. All this moving from 1 to 3% to tax middle-sized businesses 3% of their money because they're making between 500k and 15m. All this money that we are making here compensating because by raising that 1% to 3%, Nikama, it's gonna be cancelled out because you're forgiving turnover tax to a lot of companies that lie above the 15 million threshold. Huge company. And makes you wonder, do corporates in this country influence these people before they can make these revisions, because they can make these financial bills? Because it seems like a lot of big corporations are getting taxes they don't deserve. Because when Biden came to government in America, he formed government after Trump, one of his main strategies to recover the economy after the pandemic was to not to overtax really, but to properly tax the rich, the ultra rich, people who hold most of the country's money. But here it seems those people are still very powerful and they're not willing to give a little bit more of their dragonhood to help the rest of us. They're getting more bricks, because even you look at Safaricom, at some of the changes of the proposed, but this whole thing is proposed amendments here. They seem to be favoring these telcos and more punishing small, middle businesses and kawaida tax-paying Kenyans. So it's doom and doom for most Kenyans going through this whole document, because there's the other thing, the content creators thing, digital assets tax. So as you guys like Crazy Kenna who are making money on YouTube, they are getting their money after YouTube has deducted the tax, whatever tax they are paying to the states. That's a new provision. I think it started last year. So they're already paying tax like that. The UK is already taxing Google and Alphabet, the parent companies of YouTube, for the content that they sell here. But they're still going an extra mile to take a 15% cut from these creators. Imagine 15%. And the way YouTube money is little, for even for some well-established beginners, there's no good money from ad revenue, but you're still giving 15% of that. It's not very encouraging then. And it also means these people will be paying money to the US, who are the owners of this domain, and you're paying money to Kenya, and who knows what else, who else is gonna come up and ask for money now that this pandemic. We are now living in the digital economy. They're also taxing the same 15% on people who own digital property, say cryptocurrencies, NFTs, those new images you can sell online. If you have stuff that's going up online, the government is going to follow you. And in fact, I heard they're putting more stringent measures to make sure they follow up people's money, and they make sure you pay taxes. It's like they're going to spy on your M-Pesa. Some really booky stuff's gonna be happening around our money. But the last big thing about this whole taxes thing is the betting thing, all right? Because now gamblers are in trouble. The betting companies will now be paying taxes. Before, their tax was at the rate of 7.5%. Now it's moved to, hear this, 20%. From 7 to 20%. That's what these people are going to be paying to Gava just to be operating. And Gava has said they're allowing KRA to have the powers to be able to collect that money within 24 hours. So if you owe Gava yesterday, you don't have to wait till June 20th like we wait for KRA so you can run and file. They're coming for it themselves. But now the million-dollar question is, can we actually save the economy by all these taxes to tax ourselves out of our misery? I don't think so. And a lot of economists don't either, because the people have a limited amount of resources, production is low in this country. From all this stuff, it doesn't seem like we're encouraging much manufacturing. If this is passed, it's still maybe it's going to help big corporations thrive, but not in a way that gives back to a country. You know, there are countries that have mastered the art of making it easy for corporations to do business here, but at the same time making sure that the citizens are getting the most from allowing these big companies to sell them their stuff.